Hello orchid addicts of all various colors and shapes, and welcome to the Lion's Garden. This right here is going to be my July orchid and garden update, as you can see over here, with a beautiful view of a very fragrant lily. The smell of this is absolutely breathtaking. If you really need to get some like dwarfish white lilies to really feel the potential of the floral fragrances which are available for us gardeners, it's really something pristine, out of the world. It's very intense, yet it's very clean and delicious. A little bit of more, what I have going on in my little bit of a weedy garden is these Delphiniums. Look at this utterly precious blue color. It is perfect. Absolutely perfect. I love it. I love it to bits. It's the purest light blue there is. The next to this is a whitish, purplish Delphinium. It's also very gorgeous. Didn't expect something like that to come up. And here amongst Pansies over here, we have some wild strawberries growing strong. And look at these berries. Look at these berries, aren't they utterly precious? They are huge this year. Let me pick some and give you a bit of a degustation. I mean, really, this together with ice cream is heaven, I kid you not. It's so sweet, like garden strawberries don't match this stuff. This thing, it's better than regular strawberries. And in this weather, they're producing like crazy. Here are the colors in bloom. They're also absolutely gorgeous. Many of the things have already finished blooming over here, but still growing strong. And look at this pansy over here. Isn't this just the most unique, amazing color you have seen? My pansies are mainly self-sown in my garden, but they were able to combine purple together with yellow. Oh, here the sunshine comes out. It's glorious. And they created this wonderful muted, I can't even describe it, type of tone. Isn't this just amazing? And over here, you can see our strawberries are growing quite nicely. And here my bed's full of my like selected pansies. I'm actually in love with them. I should make a video pretty soon about them. Let's not go into excess details. And here's another example of an utterly amazing pansy color. Look at this. Have you ever seen something like this? It's a mixture of yellow with light blue. It is delicious. This color, you cannot describe it. It's purely magical. This is why I love pansies. They have such potential. I'm here amongst my utterly fabulous roses. Here's yet another absolutely brilliant pansy. It has more of a frilly shape, which I'm not a big fan of, but you can see there's a light brown center over here. It's magical. I love it a bit. And would you just look at these roses? Isn't this just a gorgeous sight? Okay, what else? What else? Yeah, I mean, the garden looks so much better once it's neatened up and weeded out. Everything is looking spectacular. And here are more of my self-sown pansies. These are actually from the lineage of my bred ones. This I call God's Eye. There are many variations over here, and I have basically left only the most gorgeous ones. It's spectacular. And here's a Dianthus, a completely wild Dianthus. I harvested it from like a field near where I was enjoying my, what it's called, midsummer celebration. And here's more of red goodness. It's coming together so very well. So okay, let's get to orchids finally, shall we? So here you can see most of my orchids in bloom right now for the month of July. And here's my favorite of all, my coffee. I swear these days are utterly harsh for me. I need 3 coffees to wake up. What the heck is it? I don't know, but it's crazy. Now, as you can see, we have various shades of red going on. It's utterly spectacular. It's like a mini spotlight. This is the juicy bit from my collection. So, okay, let's go through them all. This is my Phalaenopsis Asantha Rogue. Look at the burgundy color of this flower. It's very big and the blooms last for 1.5 months. It's brilliant. It's not a fragrant orchid. I can't detect any real fragrance. Reportedly it should have some. But Asantha Rogue as a Phalaenopsis is very, you know, strange, a bit buggy because it's not registered. I cannot find it. So yeah, it's a bit odd, but it's a very healthy orchid. It's a bit dehydrated right now, but its roots are growing very strong. In the summer they need a lot of watering, and me running around all over the place, hanging out with friends and getting to know new people and all that good stuff. Yeah, I mean, really need to get up my watering game. This orchid was featured in my international orchid, what it's called, the Vystavka. Well, the parade, it's on my channel, so yeah, you can find it. But right now it has produced so much more blooms, and when it opens up it's a brighter burgundy, and then it fades a little bit to a more pinkish color. I'm in love with it, seriously. And my Dendrobium, I don't know its ID, it's kind of similar to Comet King, but still not that. It decided to put out 2 blooms right now. They're freshly opened, they're utterly spectacular, and they smell a little bit like hyacinths. They are gorgeous, fabulous. I can't wait until this big bushy monster of an orchid. You can see it has been struggling for a bit, but it's holding on. I'm proud of it. I can't wait when it's going to produce a horrible, an abundance of blooms somewhere along the line. But as much as it's growing like a maniac, it stays very compact. If you tie the canes all together, it looks very neat. So this is a very wonderful Dendrobium. I recently got rid of my Stardust Firebird. Many of its keikis are mounted for me, but it's such an unruly orchid, I really don't know what to do with it. But anyhow, here, an absolutely wonderful burgundy red. This is my Phalaenopsis Valentinii. This is a Cornucervi and Violacea primary hybrid, and let me tell you, the fragrance of this is beyond the world. It's definitely not like sausages, as some people report, but it is precisely like Phalaenopsis Violacea, and the fragrance of this has the ability to take over the whole room. Right now it has 4 blooms open right now, and it's very impressive. I can't wait what it's gonna do for the future. And speaking of good fragrances, here's my Phalaenopsis Violacea. As you can see, the blooms are rather large for the Violacea species, and its color has faded into a pastel tone. As you can see, the bloom stem is yellowing, it's fading. It's about to fall off, but it's really amazing because the color turns kind of salmony. It's very gorgeous. And the fragrance of the Violacea, together with my specific Valentinii, feels exactly like rose etherical oil. It's very strong, it's utterly delicious. I can't really say it reminds me of cinnamon a lot altogether, but it's definitely worth. It's splendid, it's beautiful, very worth having. And another very impressive bloomer for this month is my LD's Bear King hybridized with tetraspis, and the color of this is spectacular. Yes, it is red, but it has hints of brown in it. I would actually call it a dark, strong salmon. It's very gorgeous. Oh, a petal has fallen. Well then. Yeah, but look at this. It's really impressive. It's a very impressive bloomer. I would definitely recommend, finding something like this. It's very good. I really don't know how to describe it. It's just very, very impressive. And it has a fragrance. It reminds me of hand soap, but the most delicious hand soap. It doesn't remind me of specific any kind of flowers, but it's very fresh. It's horribly fresh. But yeah, as you can see, obviously the leaves are burnt and injured, and here's some rot started. I will have to cut both of these frontal leaves off, and this happened because I decided to turn this orchid around to face the sun for a single day. Yes, it was a horrible decision, and now I have to pay for it. But, well, happens. I have learned my lesson. What you gonna do? Move on, live on. And here is my Haur fancy Phalaenopsis, and it has the most beautiful dark purple leaves. I can't even describe this color. It's a combination of red and green, and the result is kind of a black purple. And right now it's starting to work on a new spike, which is delightful, and finally it decided to put out a new leaf. I've been waiting for it to produce a new leaf in ages. And also it has a bud coming on. As you can see from this picture, this is also a fabulous deep red orchid. And yeah, it has a tendency of putting out a single bloom at a time. It looks from a distance like a complex hybrid Phalaenopsis, but it grows like a novelty Phalaenopsis. It puts out sequentially blooming flower spikes. And it's a pleasure. No real fragrance, maybe just a little bit, but this is a gorgeous orchid. Like, look at the leaves. I am in love completely. Can't wait until it's gonna grow bigger and bigger. And also my Phalaenopsis Sweet Memory Leodoro has put out a couple of spikes. This is one of its old spikes, and it decided to branch, and it's going to bloom very soon. You will see it in bloom in the future, but it has really taken off quite well. Look at the abundance of roots. This is a very gorgeous, vigorous, novelty, fragrant type of Phalaenopsis with considerably large blooms. It has also suffered a bit in the past. I also burnt it in the sun. Shame on me. I need to learn how to finally put my Phalaenopsis in like bright shadow. They don't like any direct light at all whatsoever. So okay, let's take care of a little bit of the maintenance over here. So, here are my small scissors, and I disinfected with live fire. When you are cutting in your orchids, it's more or less obligatory to sterilize your cutting tools with alcohol or with live fire or both. Be careful, of course, but that's vitally important to not allow contamination. And what I'm simply going to do is cut the leaves above the burnt marks. This leaf needs to be cut around here. Yes, this is sad, but it's for the best. This leaf is going to just go downwards. As you can see, it has been burned quite severely and rot set in. Now this leaf was burned till the base. It's more or less useless to keep it at all. And we are cutting it like this. So yeah, the orchid has lost quite a bit of its leaf, but it will be better. This leaf has also been burned, but it will survive. This is not that much. If it starts rotting, of course I will cut it off, but theoretically speaking it should just dry off and the leaf is still perfectly functional. And yeah, this orchid has a very peculiar growth style, as I have told you previously. It grows sideways and it wants to go completely downwards. Many of the novelty species and all that stuff do that, and its roots are going downwards. This orchid would prefer to be mounted much more than being in a pot, to be completely honest. And these kind of leaves, I want to also remove this leaf. It's dehydrated, it's going down, like no point in keeping it. And you basically remove it by ripping it off gently. If you need, you can hold the plant down so it wouldn't, be pulled out of the pot. But that's it. You just pressure it downwards and rip the leaf off, while holding the orchid. And all these excess bits come off very easily. I really don't like the look of like damaged leaves and all that stuff. I rather just remove them and wait till the orchid creates some new leaves. This leaf over here, it's also coming off, but it's coming off by itself. And what it does, it takes all the nutrients in the leaf, sucks it upwards and creates its new leaves. And as you can see, they are glorious. It takes quite a long time for your phals to regrow their leaves and start looking beautiful again, but I'm in no rush, I'm completely fine with that. So that's about it with my orchids. In July, I will of course show you a couple of my new growths and all that stuff in my growing space, but right now let's move on to my mounted orchids. Gotta give you some updates on those too. So over here you can see my mounted orchids. This is my pink Equestria hybrid. As you can see, it has lost a couple of its leaves, and above you can see the leaves have developed a shade of red. It has received a bit too much sunlight because directly up ahead there's no real foliage cover from the tree. It's mainly on this side, and also this is a struggling tree. As you can see, it has some severe injuries, so to say, so it's not exactly the healthiest tree. Keep in mind, this is an experiment. These orchids were specifically selected with the idea that I would be completely fine if they would all just die. So don't be offended that I am putting the orchids on a downward path. If I wanted these orchids to be completely healthy, trust me, I wouldn't have mounted them. I know what I'm doing, and this is completely for experiment purposes, to learn how they fare outdoors, how they're growing, how are they getting damaged. Because one of my main ideas within this project is to see exactly how damaged they get while growing outdoors. Bugs, sunlight, temperature, rain, all that stuff. This is not an experiment for the people of faint hearts, so to say. But as you can see, the buds are looking quite nice. They are going to open very soon, and it's going to be very beautiful. I have no doubt that this orchid will be impressive. Here's my Cycnodes Vine Delight, and unfortunately it's really struggling in the root production area. It also hasn't been growing quite a lot. Water is the main problem for these mounted orchids, and I decided I will take the watering can and water all of these orchids 2 times a day, in the morning and in the evening. Even though the tree is covered with moss, it does not retain the moss very much right now. Previously we had 2 weeks of scorching sun and ridiculously high temperatures, so obviously they're not going to be very happy, taking into account they don't receive full shadow, which they theoretically should, taking into account there are plenty of Phalaenopsis growing over here. But yeah, watering is a must, but they are not exactly showing signs of dying off, completely. They're just struggling. They're not used to growing on trees. This is not their native environment. If they would grow on the trees from the seedling age, they would be completely fine because all of their roots have already gripped the tree. So they would retain the water much better, wouldn't be so harsh. But these orchids, none of them have really attached to the tree yet. It's the beginning of July, maybe they haven't had enough time, quite simply, but we will see in the future. But so far so good, it's not all that bad. Here's my Dendrobium Stardust, Firebird Cakey. It's looking well. Many of its previous leaves dropped, but it seems like it, is creating new leaves. Focus. Yeah, new leaves coming on. Maybe it will be well. As you can see, leaves have suspicious markings. I don't want to have it indoors, And this is my virus Phalaenopsis with the big white blooms. As you can see, the leaves look as they did before. This is nothing new. One of its leaves also came off, but it has a good root system. It retains a lot of water. We don't exactly see new roots being produced, but its flower spike is looking good. It's holding on. And here's one of its blooms just about to open. It's nice. Oh, someone has already had a nibble from it. Yeah, but I like it. And another one of my white Phalaenopsis, here is my Phalaenopsis Amabilis, a rare species. It's holding on very well, its blooms are coming on quite nicely. The white Phalaenopsis, they tend to develop spots on the leaves, excuse the crows, if they have too much moisture. And lately we have had quite a lot of rain, and right now there's a bit of a more gloomy weather. I personally love it. The temperature is around 20 degrees. It's really, you know, breathable, livable, and I bet the orchids like it too. But as you can see, its spikes are coming on strong, so it's not all that bad. You can see the mainly virused leaf over here, and the tint of these leaves has become a bit more yellow, but this is not very severe. But yes, too much sunshine, of course. Here are some more of my Dendrobium cakeys. Sorry for the mess in the background, by the way, this is work in progress. Yeah, it's creating new leaves, it's going on strong. Even this grove, it lost many of its old leaves, but it's coming on strong. It looks like it's gonna survive. Excited to see how it develops. No new roots so far, but maybe, just maybe. Okay, here's another one of the cakeys, also growing. And here is my Cymbidium division, the seedling division. It's not really doing anything, but when I reported it, it also was not really doing anything, but at least it looks pretty. No sun damage, it's resistant more or less to the sun damage. And yeah, that's about it. Here's a view of the Equestria hybrid, and here are some of the roots of my Cycnodes. The root tips have stopped growing. Yeah, I mean, unfortunate, needs more water, definitely needs more water, but it is what it is. I am learning from it, I'm quite happy. So yeah. So, and here are some of the updates of my indoor orchids. This is my tetraspis, C1 species. It dropped a couple of its leaves, but hopefully it's going to produce more roots to compensate. This is my Cauda Twinkle. It's looking gorgeous, it's producing more and more leaves. It was set back, but finally it has a decent root system. Unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to get rid of it because look at this. This is very suspicious. This is my Phalaenopsis pulchra, red variety, and its roots have completely gone berserk. I love it. It has produced a couple of very small new leaves, but you know, good enough, and it's actually working on another new leaf, so it's very healthy, I'm happy about it. Here is my Phalaenopsis Vanozza. It's looking gorgeous, absolutely crazy roots, it's very beautiful. And this window, on this window over here, there is very minimal direct sunlight because the sun rises in this exposure window, so they don't really receive like any real direct sunlight, so I think they should be completely fine. But again, when I'm gonna move to the new house, they're going to have a more fitting space to grow in. And this here is my Phalaenopsis Franchis plastic yellow, which is functionally Amboinensis crossed with Hieroglyphica. It apparently has very gorgeous blooms, but some of its bottom leaves are yellowing. They have been yellowing for ages right now, so nothing really surprising over here. Also very abundant roots. It's left in its original medium. I got it from Orchideos.lt, a Lithuanian nursery, and it's a very beautiful, happy orchid. And here is my shady Phalaenopsis Irendopkin. I'm gonna have to get rid of it. It's virused for sure, definitely, no doubts about it, but it's creating a new leaf. At least it's making progress. It's finally looking like it's going to mature, but yeah, it's not a keeper at all. I need to get a different one, so I'm gonna be looking out for that. And over here is the rest of my orchid collection, mainly Cattleyas over here, and nothing really much is going on over here. Here's my recently reported Cattleya purpurata. The leaf is looking good, no strange spots for now. This is my Cattleya Voltaire, and it's working on very gorgeous 2 new growths over here. It may be coming close to being maturing in the soonest years, which is exciting. This is my Brassavola nodosa, quite an unruly orchid which was set back last year. Right now, as you can see, in the midst of all these old leaves, it's creating new growths, so it's looking splendid. I'm very happy about it. Here is my, what do you call it, Myrmecata vola Francis Fox, and if I'm not mistaken, it's working on a brand new growth once more. Yeah, it's hidden over here. Not matured yet, not blooming size quite yet, but it has an abundance of roots, so I'm holding my thumbs for it. It's quite a strange like grower. And here's my Brassocatlia amethyst, which is a hybrid between the purpurata and cuculata. And this is its new growth. It's pushing out in the speed of light, and perhaps it even will bloom this year. I'm very excited about it. I love the shape of it. It's very glorious. It wants to droop downwards, so you need to, stake the leaves and all that stuff to keep it up. Here is my horrible lake, which is under reconstruction, as all things in this place. What is it called? Rhyncholelia digbyana, and its new growths have matured. They're looking quite nice. Not gonna bloom quite yet, but it's looking gorgeous, and this is another one of its new growths. Maybe it's receiving a little too much sunlight, but it's a very highlight orchid nevertheless. This is my Alisara Tehama Glacier. It recently finished blooming. I will insert some pics. But right now it's in its rest period, so it should start creating new growths very soon. And over here are my small cattleyas. This is, I do believe, if I'm correct, Cattleya Valkyriana Cerulean Azul Perfecta. This was the smallest seedling I got from Orchid Garden, together with larger grown seedlings, and this orchid was legit struggling. It lost many of its seedling leaves, but fortunately it's creating a new growth. I kicked that orchid out because it was virused, I'm for sure of it, and this leaf is looking suspicious, but that might be simply because it has too much sun and it wasn't really doing anything for the longest time forever. So this new growth is very promising to me. This orchid doesn't need to grow a lot to reach a mature size, so I'm holding my thumbs up for it. Its main bonus of growing is that it's in pure sphagnum moss, which dries off quite fast, so that's very good. This is my Monirara Millennium Magic Witchcraft, and it's working on a new growth, and hopefully it's going to be larger than the small previous year's growth. Yeah, it's in pure sphagnum moss, as catasetum orchids often enjoy being in. And this is my only leftover, seedling of my Cattleya Mini Purple, and right now it's working on a very glorious new growth. It's looking pretty. I throw that orchid out also because it was virused, very obvious pitting on the leaves, but this seedling which came in the pack, probably a clone, it had pure leaves, so I'm holding my hopes up for that. And here's my absolutely tiny seedling of Cattleya Lodigesi var, a variation Punctata Cerulea. So this orchid has been set back as a seedling. It hasn't been doing anything. Its new growths have constantly been rotting off, but right here you can see it's working on a new growth once more. So my hope for this orchid isn't dying quite yet. It's looking strong. Here's another one of my Cattleya Voltaire. This is a new growth over here, and it also had a smaller growth over here. It's a very bushy seedling, and hopefully it's going to reach maturity in a couple of years. And this is my Cycnodes Wine Delight, the big division. It never ceases to impress. It's definitely going to be blooming this year. Right now it's maturing, and I'm in love with it. Look at it. Just look at it. It's like a palm tree. I'm in love. And this is my Cattleya lobata. Right now it's resting. It recently finished maturing this new growth. It's very splendid. It's nearing a maturity actually, but it has strange pitting on the leaf. So this might be the orchid fleck virus or whatnot. Might be needing to get rid of this orchid. I do not want any virused orchids in my collection. So yeah, that's about it. Time for the extra. So as an extra today, before it starts raining again, I'm going to show you a little bit of my like new garden progress. This property has been newly bought, so it's like strongly under repairs and all that stuff. It's coming together well, and this was the area that I dug up by myself with the shovel, and my mother took it over with a lot of peas and all that stuff. So it's looking very gorgeous. Look at it. Everything's growing quite nice. There are 100 types of beans and peas, and I love it. I love it. I adore it. Here's some onions. And the weeds are loving this place. I mean, you can't keep on top of the weeds. They are crazy. But yeah, the plants are happy over here. It's all looking quite well. Nothing to complain about. But of course, when you're living in an area which is surrounded by a forest, you're gonna have more pests and all that stuff because they come from the forest. Oh, look at this. I don't know how they're called in English. In Latvian they're called ērkšķogas, which is thorny berries, yeah. They're looking quite nice. Oh, they're delicious. Quite sour, quite sour. This is more of a wild variety. It has been growing in this garden ever since we moved to this place like 17 years ago. But yeah, it's not bad. We're not gonna keep it though. And here's my little area of sunflowers which I designated. Unfortunately, they have not grown particularly tall as I would want them to. And also the grass is just taking over. It's crazy, but I love it. I love it. When they're all gonna be in full bloom and grow a bit more, it's going to be more gorgeous. But the mistake that we made is everything would have grown better if it would have been planted directly outdoors at in the end of April. If it was all planted outdoors, all of these seeds were germinating in boxes, so I guess that's why they don't want to grow as big. But maybe these are just low varieties, I'm not aware. And in this place we have a mixture of yellow sunflowers. This is already ready to produce seeds. My parrot is going to enjoy them a lot. And these are supposed to be red blooming. Oh, hello. Get off, please. Red blooming, and as you can see, the leaves and all that stuff is more purple. Here's some more. I love the smell of them. It's so delicious. There's a little bit of a variation. Look at this. Isn't this just gorgeous? On this cliffhanger, I'm going to end my July update on. I hope you enjoyed this video. Like it if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more. If you want to stay tuned for more of my content, you know what to do. So cheers, have a pleasant summer, you guys. So bye.